Hi, it's Elizabeth Stephenson with New Direction Family Law. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. I'm here with Lesli Doares. She's a foundation coacher and a licensed marriage and family therapist. But you have something really cool going on, and it's called the Hero Husband Project. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit today. But Lesli, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you.
Okay, well, as she said, my name is Lesli Doares. I am a coach at Foundations Coaching, and then I am the creator of the Hero Husband Project. I have been doing work with couples, individuals and couples around their relationships for, oh my gosh, going on 18 years, it's a long time. And so it's, what really matters to me is helping people have good marriages, especially when they have children.
Right.
Because you can't really get divorced when you have children. You're still going to be dealing with
Still
that person.
connected with that person. I agree with that.
Figure out how to make it work.
Right, and so we absolutely support that. So this is, tell us a little bit about the Husband Project.
Well, I've throughout those 18 years, I've been trying to figure out, okay, how do I help couples? And one of the things I really love is if people had to take a relationship 101 class before they ever graduate from high school, because we're in love, it's wonderful, but there are skills that you need to have.
Right.
And how I got to the Hero Husband Project was I kept thinking there's got to be a way to help men who are really good guys and they love their wives and they want to be great dads and have great families. They just don't know how. And it isn't that they're incapable. It's just that nobody's ever taught them.
They don't have the skills.
They don't have, well, I mean, I argue nobody has the skills, but for men it's really, really hard because what they're prized for a lot of times in society is not the relationship stuff.
Right, so they don't come, they probably have the skills, they just need someone to help bring them out.
Right. And so part of it, I designed this program really to help them stay out of trouble. And I jokingly call myself the wife whisperer.
I love that.
Because I translate wife speak in a way that they can understand, and then they can be successful at it.
That's wonderful. I just think that would even work in our line of work and help. Because like we were just talking about, that if you have kids, you can't get divorced. I mean, you can get divorced, but you're together for the rest of your lives. You've got graduations and schools and grandbabies and all of that. So even if you are a hero husband and you still don't stay together, you still can help learn those skills to help navigate sort of that way forward.
Right, because it helps. They're all the same skills. So they help with parenting, obviously.
Right.
And the challenge in a marriage is that it's probably the only personal, intimate relationship where we live with somebody 24/7 that we enter into as equals. There's no hierarchy. So that's one of the biggest problems is how do I deal with this person who's different from me? And these are the skills that I teach and are taught specifically in this program.
That's great. So what can guys gain from going through your program?
Well, an understanding both of just general relationship skills and what it is their wives are asking of them.
And what are wives asking?
Well, a lot of times what wives want is they want a hero. They want somebody to, be the protector, be the one who's looking out for them. And unfortunately, it's not always translated really well because a lot of times it gets translated as just complaining and you're never good enough and you got to change, which most of us have a visceral reaction to when somebody wants to do that.
Right.
And so it's really about explaining, here's what she's saying, here's what she wants from you, here's what you were when you first got together, and here's how to bring it back. Here's, and one of the things is how to listen without solving, because that's one of the big things.
I'll let the handle that one.
Because, and that's part of, men are doers. They
want to solve the problem.
They want to slay the dragon.
Right, exactly.
But what they need to learn how to do is listen first.
Okay, I love that.
Right.
Yeah. So you only work with the men, not the wives.
Yeah, the women don't go to the Hero Husband Project. I do work with men and women couples still together, but this is something slightly different.
So, can you say it's universal? I mean, like, if you don't know the wife and you've never met her, how does this 12-week course work if you don't know that?
Well, because Basically, there are rules of relationships.
Okay.
Like, or I should say, there are laws of physics, there are laws of relationships. And so now every relationship is going to be slightly different.
Right.
And there is, as part of this program, individual sessions with me where we talk about their particular situation
Okay.
and how to apply this knowledge. But a lot of this is relationship 101 for men,
Okay.
is really what this is.
So they should be having this when, in middle school or high school?
Preferably as early as possible. But my view is when somebody wants something and it's important to them, it's never too late
Right.
to learn how to do
I
all
love
these
that
things.
philosophy. That's great.
Because, yes, I think across the spectrum, there are problematic people of all genders and whatever. And I do think that men have really gotten a bad name, that they don't care. It's not that they don't care, but it's hard for them to open up and admit they don't know.
Right, I agree with that.
And so it has to be in a safe place where it's actually okay to say, nobody ever taught me this.
Right.
It's like, if you want to learn how to play baseball, you gotta
Play
learn
baseball,
the rules.
rules.
Yeah, and you've gotta try.
Right,
So
and
it's the
especially if
same
you didn't grow up in that, if you didn't have a role model for that sort
Right.
of philosophy.
Right.
So, would this work for any age group, any 20-year marriage, any 2-month marriage? Is it go across all those boards?
I think it does, because again, you need those foundational pieces to know how to build. You don't just go out and start throwing up a house. You have to learn how to do all this stuff. And that's the thing. And there's no shame in it. But unfortunately, there's a lot of shame out there.
Well, I think that's a big educational piece for you to have folks come in. It's like it's like you're admitting, I don't know how to do this, and men aren't want to do that.
Well, and everybody thinks relationships are natural, and
Right.
up to a point they are. But when we hit that point of what do I do with this person who's got a different viewpoint, who has different expectations, who isn't getting with the program,
Right.
whether that's the husband or the wife,
Right.
and then how do we talk about it in a way that's like nobody knows how to do
Right.
this.
So what is it? It's a 12-week program. So give me a little bit about what it consists like. If I was to my husband, to you,
Right. Well,
if I had one.
Right. Well, I always start with communication, because
Okay.
if we can't communicate effectively, nothing is going to go
Okay.
from there. Then I talk about how for men to step into their authentic selves.
Okay.
Because I do not like the happy wife, happy life. The answer to a happy marriage is just to
I'm
say,
with
yes,
you,
dear.
I'm with you.
Woo! Men matter. And so being their authentic selves without being comfortable with it, without having to be aggressive about
Okay.
it. It's just, okay, here I am, here's how I'm gonna step in and step up.
Okay.
There's how to create intimacy, lasting intimacy. There is how do you create your life? What do you want your marriage to look like?
Oh, that's
And
great.
they're all
I love
pieces,
that.
so it's like building a house.
I don't think people think about that. I think they just think it just happens, and you don't have a plan per se. You just sort of roll along with what happens.
Well, and that's one of the problems.
Right.
It's sort of like, if you don't know where you're going,
How you gonna get there?
Right,
Right,
any
right.
road's gonna get you there. And it's
Right.
like, and so if you know where you're going, then you're off course.
Right.
And so it's really about, and it's about real commitment. It's about learning how to commit in this, I say without compromise, because compromise is a word I don't like using with marriage. There are 3 words: compromise, sacrifice, and misery.
Okay,
and I don't like using
stop.
so.
Okay, let's start with compromise. Why is that a bad thing for marriage?
Because compromise, now you have to negotiate.
Okay.
But compromise, when you hear about compromise, the standard is you give up something, I give
Correct.
up something, we meet in the middle.
Right.
It's the giving up that's the problem.
Okay.
As opposed to, we are choosing this course.
Okay.
Out of all of our options, we're picking this one.
Okay.
And so I'm not it's the giving up is where resentment can come in.
True. Well,
you,
that's true.
you made me do this.
Right.
No, I didn't have a gun to your head, but
But
it's the concept, it's the words we tell ourselves, I had to give up this.
Right.
As opposed to, no, we chose
Chose
this.
to do this. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
And
why I don't like
what were the
compromise.
other 2 words?
Sacrifice,
Okay.
which is again, you're giving up,
Right.
Something. and then miserable. I don't, that's just,
I don't think anybody wants that,
I don't think that
but-
belongs there,
Okay. And so, are men receptive? to this?
Amazingly, yes, they are. Part of the reason why I started doing this is because I was doing some analysis and found out that about half of the people who called me were men.
Oh.
And I have a pretty high success rate with men because I value them as
Right,
people.
right.
And I know that for a lot of times men don't want to come to people like me because,
right.
oh great, 2 women are going to gang up on me. And it's really about honoring who they are. Now that doesn't necessarily mean I'm not going to call them on stuff.
Right.
And that's also something that a lot of men appreciate, is that I'm pretty darn direct about that, but I'm not mean. It's not done in any kind of
Right.
you're bad, you're wrong. It's just like, okay, here's what you don't know, and here's why it's not working for you.
Okay.
Let's try something else.
And so do you send them home with homework or?
Oh yeah, they get homework because they need to be willing to look at and try things, because again, I have a bunch of tools in my toolbox,
Right.
and sometimes a hammer isn't what's necessary.
Exactly.
Sometimes you need a screwdriver. So and so it's because it has to work for them. If
Right.
it doesn't work for them, they're not going to be able to continue it.
And so do the wives know that they're coming?
Sometimes
Okay.
it's not necessary for the
Okay.
wives to know. And part of that is, because guys like to feel like they're accomplishing something,
Right.
and so they can do these changes without their wives ever knowing what's going on, and they'll just get all the credit.
Well, everybody would like that, I think.
Mhm.
And so, do you do it I'm assuming you do it in your, what kind of success, do you see changes
Oh,
come
yeah.
about?
Well, that's always the interesting question, because people say, what's the success rate?
Right.
And I say with the people who really dig in and do the work, it's about 100%.
Wow.
With the people who don't, it's about 0, because
Because you're not committed
Right.
to making the changes.
and so the way that this program actually works, it's a combination of teaching videos, so they can kind of go a little bit at their own pace. They're like anywhere from 3 to 5 videos per week of the 12 weeks.
Okay.
And then there is workbooks, that they have to work through. And then also there's access to me, Q&A, a little bit more in-depth teaching on over Zoom, so it's video conference.
Cool.
So people don't ever have to leave the privacy of their home or their
that's
offices, they
wonderful.
don't ever have to
Okay.
come see me.
Okay.
And then they also get 3 individual one-on-one sessions with me to talk about their specific
Okay.
issues and how to apply the learnings in
Okay,
their
that's great.
particular marriage.
And so, it's individual, have you ever thought, do you see it sort of growing to having a group where they can do that?
And there is a private Facebook group that's
Great.
that's associated with this.
Okay.
So it's a safe place for men to talk about the things, and I've actually had women wanting to, it's like, you can't join this
You can't
group, I'm
join
sorry.
this.
This is a for men only group, because they need to have the freedom
Right.
to be able to say things, maybe not in the most diplomatic way,
Right,
which is
right.
why I'm there to go, okay, let's
rephrase that a little bit.
rephrase this just a little bit so it lands a little bit better.
Right.
But again, that's about teaching, and that's and from a place of nobody's taught you this.
Right.
How would you
There's
know?
no blame there, so it's
No,
like,
it's like,
here's
how
where we
would you
are.
know?
Right.
And so that's really what I want them to do, is feel like it's a safe place. They can have a community, because a lot of times guys, suffer in silence.
Right.
And
it's not a sort of bashing community,
No.
it really is helping them gain skills to do things differently.
well, and to also let them know, oh, I'm not the only one who's going through this,
Right.
which is a huge thing,
Huge,
because
right.
everybody, we have Facebook and all these other things where everybody puts their
I know,
highlight
everyone looks
reels
perfect
out
on
there.
there, I know.
No, it's not, and so it's to let them know that, there are solutions out there.
So I was looking through your website, which is really interesting, so tell everybody where they can find information about this.
They can go to the Hero Husband Project, all, no spaces, all small letters, THEHEROHUSBAND project.com, and they can find me.
So I was just looking through the pages, and I'll just go through some of the highlights, and one of the pages says, enough of the BS. So what does that mean?
Well, a lot of, and this goes to the communication piece of how to communicate productively without anger, without hurt, without drama,
Right.
without, it's like, oh my gosh, because men are very direct.
Right.
and they want to know, it's like, just the facts, ma'am, just tell me what the problem is and tell me what to do and I'll fix it.
Right.
And that can be a challenge because
We like to share and talk.
yeah, I mean, and I don't know who just thought that men and women should live together. I call it the cosmic joke. But part of it is learning about the style and recognizing I don't have to talk like you talk to be able to communicate
Right.
together. But there are some rules about communication, how to approach something, how to listen before you respond.
Right.
It's like, let me make sure I heard what you said.
Right.
And so that.
So basic communication.
Basic communication, but it's getting rid of, the BS.
And I love, this one, does a marriage bed matter? I read, the new thing with homes is now 2 master bedrooms.
Right.
So they don't, which I can almost say that would be heaven sometimes.
Well, and that's kind of what this is about, why do 2 people not share a bed?
Right.
I mean,
And there's a negative connotation to that.
right, and again, my viewpoint is, the only 2 people who have to be on board with anything are the 2 people in that marriage.
Absolutely.
Now, I also say, both have to be on board with it.
Right.
But however they want to live doesn't matter to
Right.
anybody outside.
Right.
And so, whether or not we should share a bed. I
Right.
mean, there are reasons why, some people have back problems, or some people snore, or some
Right,
people,
right, right. Or you have different, I get up early, you
right,
go to
you
bed late.
have different
right.
schedules. So the idea is, I don't believe there are any shoulds or musts.
That's wonderful.
But that's also part of the problem, is because then that means we have to talk about what we want.
Right.
And we can't just assume, because we all know what happens when we assume, or have, unspoken and unacknowledged and unagreed to expectations.
Right. So he changes, he learns to communicate and do all this, but what if the other partner isn't, how are they moving forward with it too?
The way that I was trained, it's something called systems theory, that if
Okay.
you change one part of the system has to change.
Okay.
So if I start doing something different, you can't keep doing the same old thing.
Do I have to feel there has, my training is, I have to get some positive out of that to keep
Right.
doing the same
Sure.
thing. No.
Yes, and part of that is learning that there's always going to be a lag between you starting to do something and it starting to be
And getting a
seen.
payoff, right,
Right.
right.
It's like it's not going to be an immediate payoff, although sometimes it can be, because one of the first things, if somebody feels heard,
Mm-hmm.
that's almost
Right.
akin to feeling loved.
Right,
It's
right.
like, oh my gosh,
You
you listened, you heard me. And then all of a sudden, everything opens up, and it's like, people say, is it really that easy? It's that simple. It's not necessarily that easy.
Because you got a lot of years and years of habits in the way you do things
Right.
to change, and that's not gonna change overnight.
Right, and it's inviting people to change, not
Right.
not
Forcing them.
telling them you have to change
Right.
or else,
Right.
because that's almost like, okay,
Right. So after the 12 weeks, so can they stay in the group, do they still get support?
They can stay in the group
Okay.
forever.
Okay,
And then after that, I'm kind of working on a follow-up program that actually talks about the attributes of a hero husband, and I'm going to take each one of those
that's great.
and go a little bit further into that. But yeah, and then a lot of times what happens is they realize they need a little bit more guidance
Right.
on applying all of these things in their relationship,
right.
which is fine.
And the other, another page is your marriage can't live on hope, and I think, we were just talking about this before, we were saying you should be going to all these wedding expos and, having people think about this before they actually get married, and what's been your response?
Well, again, people are very focused on the day of the
Right,
wedding,
right.
and so wedding expos are all about the venues and the flowers and the.
And we're perfect, and we don't need
Right.
anything.
I mean, and they're not into the idea of, oh, this is a little bit different than I thought it would be,
Right.
and this is true even if they've been living together.
I think so too, I think it does change things.
It does change things, and so part of this is this is about being prepared. This is all
Mhm.
about knowing is how to be successful at this,
Right.
because it's not really, it's not really a 50% divorce rate, although it's still higher. I think it's
right.
40% something
Yeah,
for the,
like
for
that.
first marriages, and then subsequent marriages is worse, because people don't learn, people
Right.
don't see,
Right.
oh, this isn't my partner's fault, this is both of us don't have knowledge.
Well, I think that's a big first step right there for someone to come and admit that, because
Yeah.
you always want to throw the blame on somebody else.
Well, you've got a built-in scapegoat.
That's
You know?
that's true.
And it's much
It's not
easier.
about
It's
that.
like, if they would just
Yeah,
stop
they would do
this,
that.
I'd be
Right,
fine. You know,
right,
it's like,
right.
and guess what? They're saying the same thing, so now you're back to square
Right.
one.
So I think they have to come with you, to you, with some insight to start with, or maybe not, maybe I'm
Well,
wrong.
Usually, there's usually something that triggers it.
Okay.
Maybe they keep having the same fight over and over
Mhm.
again. Maybe they are, haven't been intimate for a long period of
right.
time. They know that something's changed. And I'm a big proponent of people, anytime there's a major event in your life, which marriage is one,
Right.
having a child is
Right.
one, moving.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are lots of these major changes.
Right.
This is the time to kind of go, oh, how are we doing?
Right.
I actually think people should do a yearly check-in.
Okay, that's
You
great.
just, I mean, we get, most of us who
I
work for
work-
somebody,
yeah,
we
yeah,
get performance
right,
appraisals. It's
right.
like, okay, so, and I think it's important to do that for your relationship. Is it what I want it to be? Is it what you want it to be?
And if not, what can we do to
Right.
change that? We can do to
And
change
a
that.
lot of times, sometimes things are simple enough that people can do it on their own. Other times, it's like, we don't know what to do.
Right.
It's like
right.
it's like, at least in my, when my car light comes on, I don't know what's
What to
wrong
do,
with it.
I
I take it to the mechanic.
Right.
Because they know how to fix it,
Right.
and that's what professionals like me do.
Right, and our job, we're in the family law world, but we don't want more clients. We want to see, we want to see families stay together, and so to have that, I mean, I think it's just fascinating to have this, like you say, this tool, this skill that you can teach. And I like that you focus just on one, so then you can put your focus on one side of the spectrum, and do it well.
Well, and the advantage is that I'm on the other side of the spectrum.
Right.
So, and that's the difference between, going to a man, because
Right. Same perspective, right.
they have the same perspective.
Right.
And which is why I've gotten in trouble a lot of times in my office, because the wives think I'm gonna be on their side, and it's like, no, I'm on the side of the marriage, and oh, by the way, what you're doing is not working.
Good, call about it,
Right,
excellent.
but they think, oh, I've got somebody on my side,
Right.
and it's like, but I also can see the other side
Right.
of the equation.
Right, so I'm assuming the people who come to you want their marriage to work.
Yes.
Okay, so they have some incentive
Yes.
to change or do something differently.
Right, well, I mean, they have an incentive to save their marriage. Now, sometimes they would rather not do something different, but
Well,
basically
that's
like,
true.
okay.
I mean, yeah, but what we're doing obviously isn't
Because that's
working.
the definition of insanity,
Right,
is doing the
exactly.
same thing over and over again.
So is there a hero, wife's project? A wonderful wife?
Not at the moment, and part of the reason is that I think that women we have friends, we have, we're
Better support network.
yeah, better support network, and part of the challenge of doing women, I'm gonna get in real trouble for saying this, is that a lot of times women don't wanna be told they have any responsibility in this.
Maybe so, yeah.
And so, that's part of, that's the whole, just say yes, dear,
Right.
And it's the women are always right, it's like, no, we're not,
No, but I'm with you. It's like when I hear happy wife, happy life, I've never had that philosophy. I'm with you. I think it takes two to be able to do that.
Well, and I think, and if the shoe were flipped, and by the way, through marriage, over the years, the shoe was flipped, that women didn't matter.
Right.
Women would scream about that.
Right,
But somehow now it's okay to say, well, men don't matter.
Right.
And not in my book, they do. They're gonna be, because if we want them to be successful.
Right.
And successful fathers and successful
Exactly.
partners,
Exactly.
we can't say you're not capable.
Right. But we just have to give them the skills
Yeah.
to do that.
Yep.
So we know how to get to your, is that the best way? Go to the website, can you, I guess they can contact you, set an appointment, find
Yeah.
out more about it?
Absolutely, and if they actually Google my name, which is, we were talking about earlier.
Doares.
And Lesli, no E, thanks Mom, they can find me that way too.
Okay, but just put in the hero husband
Yeah,
project.
probably the Hero Husband Project
Okay,
will be the fastest.
and then, so you still have the other piece of your practice,
Yes, I
correct?
do.
So tell a little bit about that, and then we'll sort of.
So I
wrap
do
up.
actually work with couples
Right,
as well.
It's fabulous.
Just, because sometimes couples want to come in and they wanna work together, and I think that's fantastic. And I teach sort of, I teach the same kinds of skills, except
Right.
I'm now teaching both people.
Right. And do you do discernment?
I do certain,
And tell people,
Yeah.
people may not know what that is, but we have a lot of people who come to us who are just, they're not separated, they just want education, and I
Right.
think that service that you provide is immeasurably helpful to couples.
yeah, and I really wish that, it's a program that was created by Dr. Bill Doherty, who's a professor at the
Mhm.
University of Minnesota, and I wish he would change the name of it, because it's a god-awful name.
And it is, okay.
But discernment counseling is actually designed to be very short-term,
Mhm.
and it's designed to help couples come to one of three conclusions. Things stay as they are, we end the relationship, or we commit to working it out.
Right.
And it's a very specific, it's short-term, and it's done because what he learned was if people jumped into marriage counseling before they were really committed to it,
Yeah,
it didn't work.
right.
And so this is a process to work through the pros and cons of each of those three options. And to
Right.
help people, because a lot of times people only can see the first two. It's either gonna stay
It's
terrible,
black
or we
right,
have to end
right.
it. And they don't know about the third option and what that would look like, and the fact that it is not only possible, but can be likely if
Mhm.
people would,
Mhm.
because again, it's about learning stuff
Right.
that they didn't know.
Yeah, right. And so, and one more question I have for
Yeah.
your project. If you work with a husband, can you then work with the couple?
Yes.
Okay.
Because and
It's not
partially
necessarily
because,
therapy, I
because
guess.
this is actually really coaching.
Right.
This is really just kind of like, okay, here are the skills, here's how you apply them. I'm a big baseball fan, my son played baseball, so I'm like the baseball coach going, okay, you got your batting stance not quite right,
Especially for the.
right.
Yeah.
It's just giving them the, it's like, I don't know how many coaches LeBron James has, 5,
Right,
and
right.
because they all do a different
The
thing.
thing.
And so this is coaching on how to be a hero husband.
Okay, well, I think it's wonderful, and I'm so glad that you've done this. Is it across the country?
Yes.
Okay, so check out Hero Husband Project. I really think it's a valuable skill that you're providing and can
Thanks.
help families stay together. And please contact us if you have any other questions. You can find us at newdirectionfamilylaw.com or call us at 919-719-3470. Thanks, guys. We'll see you later. Bye.